Everybody grows up with challenges, with disappointments, and with life problems. And I was no different. I grew up in Buffalo, New York. I got a college degree in dental hygiene, and I then worked, and then I got a BA, and I got married. I had a baby. I went back to school for a master's, and then I got divorced, and I sold my home. I decided to go to California to pursue my doctorate. And along the way, I encountered homelessness and robbery and also a lot of overwhelm. So I was able to get a job as a school psychologist. And when I did that, in my second year, I was sent a student who was very distressed. She seemed okay after a while, and so I sent her back to class. But a month later, her counselor told me that she had asked to see me again, but they told her that she couldn't because I was busy testing students. So that night, she went home, got her father's gun, shot herself, died by suicide, and I was horrified. What had happened was she asked the teacher aide, I know it's not right to hurt myself, but what I do to myself is my own business, right? And the teacher aide had said, that's right. And that's when she did that. It was just horrifying to me. And so I kept going back in my mind, what went wrong? And I discovered that we need to go back early and reach people earlier and earlier. The youngest I ever reached somebody where they were almost 3 years old. And they didn't have a lot of language development themselves. He didn't. But what he had was comprehension. So he had hit himself. First he had hit somebody else, and he had been stopped and shown a pillow and said, hit here instead. People are not for hurting. So then he turned around and slapped himself. And we did the same thing. You're a person too. Hit here instead. And so he did. And he got off that person's lap, and he was happy, and things went well. So I realized we need to start getting people when they're young. The CDC says we should reach out, and everybody has a part to play to stop death by suicide and self-harm or harming others, hurting others. And so we need to play our part, I thought, an ounce of prevention, as Benjamin Franklin said, is worth a pound of cure. After unlocking my passion, which was getting early to people, I realized that I can reach out to people that I hardly even know and do some help. I found this out when I was going to a conference, and I met an Uber driver, Marco, I'll call him, and he was talking about his family and how his wife, his ex-wife, had told him that their son didn't want to see him. And why was that? Well, it was because Marco really enjoyed teasing his son. He thought that was a lot of fun, and teasing was a form of play for Marco. But Marco's son didn't enjoy this at all. And teasing, I explained to him, is a form of abuse for a lot of people. It was like a moment of truth for him. Oh, and so he listened to what I had to say, which was, well, why don't you try something else? You love your son. Why don't you look with love and kindness? And don't say very much, but keep looking into his eyes, and he will do things. Just tell him what he's doing. Oh, you seem to like this. Oh, you seem not to like this. But you don't have to say a whole lot. Just warmly and awarely, just give him your relaxed attention, and I think things will go better. Give that a try. There's other things that happened, and I'm going to make a suggestion, and that would be that there are a lot of bullies out there, and if you can practice what you might say to these bullies, then you can be ready. For example, let's say somebody mocks you. You just say to them, "You're mocking me." Kind of use an incredulous voice, but also use a please pass the salt voice, because sometimes how we sound is even more important than what we say. So consequently, you'll be letting bullies know, because if you do nothing, bullies double down. They'll really come at you. And if you attack the bully, what you're doing is making them worse, and they're already in bad shape. Bullies do not need to be tit for tat. They've already been hurt. And so I'm suggesting that as you practice, you can be ready. Be ready, and you can not only be ready, but you can head it off. Once I was at a family get-together, and at this get-together was a man who loved to tease me. I hated it. I put my head down, I turned away, I even told him I didn't like it, and he just ignored me and loved to tease me. So I went up to my son and I said, "Can you stop him?" My son, having grown up with me, knew how to do offensiveless defense, which is what I've been explaining to you. You don't hurt the bully. What you do is you make them realize, oh my goodness, I guess I'm off track here. So what my son did the next time we saw Uncle Serge, he said, "Uncle, Mom is not in the mood for ribbing." Well, that really had an impact on him. It was a transformation of him, because he turned around, and not literally turned around, but he decided to come to where I live in Las Vegas now, bring his wife, and we had dinner, we had times together, and never again has he teased me. So there's simple things that you can learn how to do to make offensiveless defense part of your life. And if you do this, and you reach out to those that you influence, you will have a lot more ability to have a safe life. Not only because you're going to, by doing this, you're going to say to them someday, I hope, you're going to say, you know what, I have some rules. Do you have any rules? I only have two. Number one, I have a rule against hurting myself. Two, I have a rule against hurting other people. Everything else is a suggestion, some good suggestions, and I could go into a long period of how there are good suggestions, but nothing as good as a foundational rule of not harming yourself and not harming others. So by doing that, you will create a safety for yourself so that the people in your life will not be worrisome or tragic endings, because parents have told me over the years, as I have had a private practice and was a school psychologist for 32 years, and they would send me these children who, after the fact, were just horrified like I was when somebody in their class had harmed themselves, and now they had decided, because teachers will write on the board to have those two rules, not to hurt yourself and not to hurt somebody else. And if you are a guardian of any type, which does include parents and teachers, you can do this and you'll be heading off tragedies way before you are having to have them come in your life. There's some other things I want to tell you, but I was encouraged to write a book, the book End Suicide and Homicide and the Harm in Between, which is really about getting rid of all the negative emotions. Because if you don't have ideas to hurt yourself and to hurt others, you're never going to want to end your life. And that's what we want, people to live their life the way it's supposed to be lived, to have the impact and follow the path and your path, why you were put on earth. So I encourage you all to reach out to the people in your life, all those you influence, because I won't have a chance to reach them all, and I want to reach at least 1 million people, and if you did, all your people, we could have a much more peaceful world where happiness is to the fore. Thank you.